Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev ki jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gorkishwaras Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Anugauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath. Shar Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari. Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री चैतन्य भागवत की जय। श्री सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि की जय। श्री वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। श्री चैतन्य चरितम the Gauḍīya-bhāṣya of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada की जय। श्री चैतन्य चरितमृत की जय। श्री चैतन्य भागवत की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरि बोल everybody. Dandavat pranams Ganga Mataji. So we will continue with doing the Manashiksha Kirtans. Today we're doing verse 3. Oops, it's not what I was looking at there. Okay, so verse 3 of Sri Manashiksha by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. O mind, if you are eager to reside in Vraj, filled with Ragatmika Bhakti, and if you desire the direct service of the youthful divine couple Shri Shri Radha Krishna, then listen to me. Birth after birth, always distinctly remember and bow down with great love to Shri Sarup Damodar Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, and his elder brother Shri Sanatan Goswami, and all other associates who are recipients of Mahaprabhu's mercy. Yadhicheravasam vrajabhuvi saragam pratijanur yuva dvandvang tachet paricharitunāradhabhilashe sarupam shri rupam saganamihatasya grajamapi Sputam premna nityam smaranamata datvang shrinumana. So now we have this Bengali song by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur on this verse. If within your heart there is an acute hankering to reside in Vrajdham and be absorbed in the Ragatmika Bhakti, and if within your innermost core you have a deep longing to serve the nectarian pastimes of Shri Shri Radha Krishna, then listen, my minds, to what I have to say. Sri Sarup Damodar is most expert in bhajan, and service to the Lord is his very life. His close associate, Srila Rupa Goswami, being a jewel of wisdom regarding the confidential topics of ras, manifested esoteric truths about the Lord's pastimes. His elder brother, Srila Sanatana Goswami, who is unequaled, describes the playful pastimes of the divine couple. O mind, always remember these great personalities who have broadcast unalloyed prem. Bowing before these great souls, Bhakti Vinod prays, please quickly bestow this prem upon me. Okay. Hari Bol Sudevi Didi. And we'll just sing it all at once, not lead in response. Ragaveshe vraja dhama vase jadi tibra kama thake tava hridaya bhitare Radha Krishna Leela ras Paricharya Sulalas Ho jadi Nitanta Antare Ho jadi Nitanta Antare Boli tabe shuno mama man bhajana chaturavan Shri Sarupa Damodar Prabhu Seva jahan raji vana Prabhu Seva Jahara Jivan Bole Tabe Shuno Mama Man Shagana Shri Rupa Jini Rasa Tattva Jnana Mani Leela Tattva Je Koila Prakash Tahara Agraja Bhai Jahara Samananai Varnilo Je Jugalavi Lasa Varnilo je jugala vilas She saba mahajane Spashta prema vikyapane Smaro man tumi nirantara Noder nati mahajana gana prati bhakti vinoder nati mahajana gana prati vigyapita koro sat Vigyapita Koro Sattva Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Jai Sachinandan Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Shubhananda Prabhu and Nri Hari Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. Yes. Okay, so we'll do the Mangalacharan now. Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ajanulambita bhujo kanakavadato sankirtanaikapitaro kamalaya-taksho Vishvambharo dvijavaro Yugadharmapalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Namastrikala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya Cha Sabhrityaya Saputraya Sakalatraya Te Namaha. Avatirno Sakarunyo Parichinno Sarishvaro Shri Krishna Caitanya Nityanando Dvau Bhrataro Bhaje Sajayati Vishuddha Vikrama Kanakabha Kamalaya Tekshana Varajanu Vilambi Sharbhujo Bahudha Bhakti Rasa Bhinartaka. Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishvesha Murte Jayati Jayati Nrityang Tasya Sarva Priyanam. Ādi Caitanya-bhāgavata Goshtir Charane Ashesha Prakare Mor Danda Paraname Tabe Vando Shri Krishna Chaitanya Maheshwar Navadvipe Avatar Nama Vishvambhar Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Devi Tvam Nayamang Charanantikam. I'm not sharing my screen, oh my god. So sorry about that. Sorry, Nri Hari Prabhu. Oh man. Anyhow, I hope you don't.
No worries, no worries. It's just okay. I like to follow it.
Okay. So spaced out. Okay. So now I'll share my screen though for the next part. Ore mura loko shuno Chaitanya. This is the glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ādi chapter 8 verses 33 to 42. Ore mura loko shuno Chaitanya mangal Chaitanya mahima jate jani beshakal Krishna lila bhagavate kohe ved vyas Chaitanya Chaitanya Leelar Vyas Vrindavana Das Vrindavana Das Koilo Chaitanya Mangal Jahan rash bane nashe sarvaya mangal Chaitanya nitar jate janiye mahima Jate jani Krishna bhakti siddhanter sima Bhagavate jata bhakti siddhanter sar Likhiya chen iha jani koriya udhar Chaitanya mangala shune jadi pashandi javan Sheho maha vaishnava hoy tatakan Manushe rachite nare aiche granta dhanya Vrindavana dasa mukhe vakta Śrī Caitanya Vrindavana dasa pade koti namaskar Aiche granta korite ho tarila sansar Narayani Chaitanya uchishta bhajan Tar garbhe janmila Śrī dasa Vrindavan Tar ki arbhuta Chaitanya charita vanan Jahan rashavane shuddha koila tribhuvan Sahaje vichitra madhur Chaitanya vihar Vrindavana dasa mukhe amrite dhar. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Shri Sachinandan Gaurari ki jai. The Gauḍīya-bhāṣya of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki jai. Haribo Mahi Bharata Prabhu and Raseshwari Mataji, Jai Shri Radhe. Okay, so we are continuing on with our reading of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ādi Kanda, chapter 14. And we came across probably in all the, I don't know how many years, I think I've been reading for 3 years now. And in the 3, or maybe over 2 years, started in 2020, before Chaturmasya in 2020. Anyhow, and so from all that time of daily reading, I think this is probably the longest commentary that we've ever come across yet. We spent the whole reading yesterday pretty much just reading the commentary, and we only got halfway through. So today we're going to read the second half, and then read about the disappearance of Lakṣmīpriyā, and also I think we're going to be reading about Tapan Miśra and his questions that he asked Mahaprabhu. I think I didn't read ahead. I just saw the topic. And this what we're reading about. Why is this the longest purport? This must be a really important topic. It is the topic of the disappearance of the Lord and his associates, and also how Krishna and how Shaktiman and Shakti are non-different, and about the disappearance of Shakti and Shaktiman in this world. Their very bewildering leela of becoming unmanifest. So unfortunately, I didn't get time to read on my own, and yesterday when I was reading, I was really tired, and I'll probably get tired today as well. Sometimes when I read like really heavy tattva things that are really long, and especially if there's repetition, then I start to go into autopilot mode, and when I get in autopilot mode, then I start to fall asleep. So hopefully that doesn't happen today. If it does, I'll just stand up and walk back and forth while I read. Haribol Champak Didi. Okay, sorry for yapping off. Okay, now, let's see, who else is there? Oh, Hare Krishna Amit Dandekar. Hare Krishna. Okay, so This is chapter 14, the Lord's travel to East Bengal and the disappearance of Lakṣmīpriyā. So I'm not going to read all this part that we read previously about how the wealthy people and those who are very religious, how they gave so much wealth and donations, pranami to Nimai Pandit, and how Nimai Pandit would use that money to show compassion towards the needy and distressed persons by giving them charity. And then there was we had a whole day where we read just about how Nimai would so nicely take care of guests, and a lot about how to treat guests, and especially sannyasis. And we heard about the amazing service mood of Lakṣmīpriyā Devi. She engaged in cooking for the service of the Vaishnavas, and the Lord would personally sat with the Vaishnavas, sannyasis, and he fully satisfied them by feeding them sumptuously. The principal duty of householders is to serve guests. Those householders who do not serve guests are lower than animals and birds. Also, we read that Brahma, Shiva, Shukadev, Vyasadeva, Narad, they'd all take the guise of sannyasis and visit the Lord's home in Mayapur. Okay. So after some time, Nimai Pandit went with his students to earn some wealth in Bangladesh, where he stayed on the banks of the Padmavati River. Overwhelmed by the Lord's ingenious scholarship, innumerable students came to study from him, and within a short time, they mastered various subjects. Then we read about those people who try to say that they're the Supreme Lord, and the people would call him not Gopal. He would declare himself to be Gopal, these people, but the people would call him Shial, which means jackal. Okay. Let's just read from here. Oh wait, what verse is that? I think it was 99. Let's see. Okay, so while the Lord spent 2 months in Bangladesh, in East Bengal, teaching in his scholastic pastimes, in Navadvip, Lakshmi was engaged. Meanwhile, throughout these 2 months in Navadvip, Lakshmi was in great distress due to separation from the Lord, but she did not reveal this to anyone. She kept always engaged in the service of Mother Shachi without eating anything since the Lord's departure. She didn't eat anything since the Lord's departure. She accepted some rice only in name, for she was deeply distressed in separation from the Lord. She passed the nights alone, crying incessantly. Her heart found no relief for even a moment. Eventually, Lakshmi could no longer tolerate separation from the Lord. Lakshmi left a replica body. This is where we get the long purport. Lakshmi left a replica body on the bank of the Ganga in this world, and she went invisibly to the side of the Lord. Nija pratikriti deha tui prativite, choli len prabhu pashe ati alakite. So nija pratikriti. Pratikriti is like copy, body, replica body. Tui, she kept prativite on the earth. It says on the bank of the Ganga here. Nice. In this world. Prativite means in this world, sorry. And then Cholilen, she went. Prabhu Pashe, she went to her Lord, with her Lord. Her Lord's near, literally. Ati alakite, completely imperceptible to anybody. Invisibly. So, in the Gauḍīya-bhāṣya, the commentary of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, I'm not going to go through this whole thing because it's very long, but let's just read parts of it up to where we are. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is stated, Because the Lord was engaged in various ways in preaching work in East Bengal, his wife, Lakshmi Devi, was very unhappy at home in separation from her husband. The snake of separation bit Lakshmi Devi, and its poison caused her death. Thus she passed to the next world. She went back home, back to Godhead. And Hari Bol, Champak Didi, and Kishore Prabhu. The replica body and disappearance of Lakshmi Devi are explained as follows. Śrī Lakṣmīpriyā Devi is the internal spiritual potency of Gaur Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahalakshmi is described in the Gaur Ganadesh Dipika 45 as follows. This is Lakṣmīpriyā. She's described as she who previously appeared as Śrī Janaki, Rukmini, and Lakshmi has now appeared as Lakshmi in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Sanskrit book Chaitanya Charitamrita Mahakavya, it is stated, this Lakshmi of Navadip is the incarnation of that Lakshmi of Vaikuntha, and Lakshmi has personally incarnated in this world. While describing Mahalakshmi, Krishna's queens, and the gopis of Vraj, Sri Jiva Prabhupada has stated in his Sri Krishna Sandarbha. In the second Sandarbha, in the Bhagavat Sandarbha, it has been established that the Lord is a supreme absolute truth and that he has two energies. Of the two, the first is related to the Lord as his internal potency, and it is as worshipable to the Vaishnavas as the Lord himself. The Supreme Lord's supreme position is due to his Swarup Shakti. The second, Maya, is fit like the material world. Maya is fit like the material world to be rejected by the Vaishnavas. She is a transformation of the Lord's energy. The manifestation of the world is due to the Bahiranga Maya Shakti, or the illusory external energy. So of these two potencies, the word Lakshmi is used to indicate the former, the Sarup Shakti, the Antaranga Shakti, the internal potency, just as the word Bhagavat is used to indicate the person who possesses these two energies. This is also clearly shown in the Bhagavat Sandarbha. In the two cities, Mathura and Dwarka, this Sarup Shakti is known as Shri Mahishi. It's known as the Queens of Krishna. Since it is clearly stated in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad that the Lord's unmanifest pastimes... Okay, anyways, I'm not gonna read everything because this goes on for a long time. Okay, so then we're reading about how Shakti and Shaktiman are non-different. See, there's no actual difference between the energy and the energetic. Shakti, Shaktiman. And then we were reading about... Let's see. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.14.8, Yudhishthira speaks to Bhimsena as follows. Has the time come for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to quit his earthly pastimes? So then we read many commentaries on this verse by Madhvacharya, by Sridhar Swami, from Srila Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, like that, explaining about the tattva of the Lord's disappearance. Yesterday I should have highlighted spots so that we could just read key spots. But anyways, then we read the commentaries on Sri Uddhav's words to Vidura in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.11. This means he performed his pastimes by removing his form from the sight of public vision. So the commentaries, then he shows a bunch of commentaries for this verse. Sridhar Swami says, after exhibiting his own form till this point, the Lord disappeared by covering the eyes of the public, because there is no other worthy object of vision. So it's the public's eyes that were getting covered. It wasn't that the Lord was actually disappeared. That's from Sridhar Swami. And then Jiva Goswami quotes, he says, according to the Vedic statement, he is the vision of the eyes, the Lord left the vision of the people with his swabimbam, his own form. It is also described in the Mahabharata Moshala Parva. To the eyes of people, after diminishing the burden of the earth, Krishna gave up his form and returned to his supreme abode. So Jiva Goswami says, in this verse, the word mochayitva, or having given up, indicates that he disassociated his form from the activities of diminishing the burden of the earth. He disassociated his form from the activities of diminishing the burden of the earth. In other words, he allowed his form a respite from such engagement. This word is not used to indicate complete freedom from the activities of diminishing the burden of the earth. Okay. He allowed his form a respite from such engagement. Interesting, okay. The word swabimbam in this verse, the Sanskrit verse, quoted from Mahabharata. No, I don't see swabimbam here. Maybe it's from the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Yeah, it's from this Bhagavatam verse by Uddhav, sorry. Swabimbam loka lochanam. So Vijay Dvaja says that this word swabimbam refers to the Satchid Ananda form of the Lord and his replica. The word too corroborates the Vedic statement Dve Baba Brahmano Rupe. The Supreme Brahman has two forms. Now in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is it? No, this is Madhvacharya's Bhagavat Tatparya. He says that this verse says that the Lord manifested his own form before the eyes of the people, and he again disappeared with that same form. By this statement, persons who advocate that the Supreme Lord gives up his body with adverse objections like Lord Krishna left his own body and disappeared, all their objections are defeated with this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhav speaking. Okay, I'm gonna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.4 verses 28 to 29, Sri Shukadev Goswami speaks to Maharaj Pariksha as follows. He says, Harir api tatyaja akritim Kriyadishaha. Shri Krishna, the Lord of the three worlds, completed his pastimes on earth. And Takshandehan Achintayat. He thought to himself about disappearing from the face of the earth. So these verses are explained as follows. The word Akriti means the earth, because according to dictionaries, the words Sharira, Akriti, Deha, Ku, Prithvi, and Mahi all have similar meanings. The Skanda Puran says that the phrase, the Lord gave up his body, means he left the earth. It doesn't mean he actually gave up his body, it just means he left the earth. Since he is a personification of eternal bliss, there cannot be any other meaning. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu is a personification of knowledge, like an actor, he exhibits a dead form or dead body resembling himself in order to bewilder the materialists. That's from Sri Madhvacharya's Bhagavat Tatparya. Sridhar Swamipad says that the word Akriti means like a human form. Okay. I'm skipping all this now. Where did we finish? I think we finished here. The phrase Icha Sharirina means, by he who out of his own will accepts a transcendental body which is glorified by everyone. I can just very quickly double check to make sure that's where we left off yesterday. What time is it? Oh my god, it's already 7:39. I've been reading too much. In his Bhagavat Tatparya commentary, Srimadvacharya quotes the following verse from Skanda Puran 3.2.13. Okay, that's what I need to type in. 3.2.13. There. Okay, so now this is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada again. He says, I'm just seeing Okay. In his Bhagavat-tattparya commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.13, Sri Madhvacharya quotes the following verse from the Skanda Puran. Alas, how illusioned by the bewilderment of Maya are those persons who see the Satchid Ananda form of Vishnu as material. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.4 verses 28 to 29, Sri Shukadev Goswami speaks to Maharaj Parikshit as follows. Harir api tatyaja akritim triadisha. Oh, I already quoted this verse. Shri Krishna, the Lord of the three worlds, completed his pastimes on earth. And Tyakshyam deham achintayat. He thought to himself about disappearing from the face of the earth. These verses are explained as follows. Oh, oops, sorry, I went too far when I was doing the recap. The word akriti means the earth, because according to the dictionaries, the words sharira, akriti, deha, ku, prithvi, and mahi all have similar meanings. The Skanda Puran says that the phrase Lord Hari gave up his body means he left the earth. Since he is a personification of eternal bliss, there cannot be any other meaning. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu is a personification of knowledge, like an actor, he exhibits a dead form or dead body resembling himself in order to bewilder the materialists. Sorry, guys. Srimad Madhvacharya's Bhagavat Tatparya, the word akriti means the earth, and the word deha also means the earth. Because the Vedic statement yasya prithvi shariram, whose body is the earth, is the evidence. That's from Sri Vijayadvaj. The word akriti means like a human form. That's Sridhar Swami. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm reading this twice when we have so much to read. 1 second. I just want to see if there's any comments. Hare Krishna Shasharmaji. The word Nidhan refers to Krishna's eternal abode, which is the greatest wealth. According to the two statements, Martya Lokam Jihasata, by the Lord who desired to quit the mortal world, in the previous verse, 26, and also Asmal Lokad Uparate, when the Lord leaves the vision of this mundane world, of verse 30. In these two verses, the word Akriti refers to the universal form of the Lord. If one is particularly inquisitive regarding this subject, he should study the Shri Krishna Sandarbha, verse 93. That's from Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the purport of this verse is that Lord Hari gave up completely, kriti, activities or pastimes in the material world. In other words, he finished. Interesting. So some people are explaining, like Jiva Goswami and others are explaining that akriti means like a human form, akriti means the earth, but now another meaning is that he completely gives up activities or pastimes in this world. In other words, he finished. So 3 meanings now. The word tyakshyam, since the verb tyaj is used to mean give, indicates that Lord Krishna desired to give sustenance to the devotees headed by Brahma by sending his plenary portion Narayan to Vaikuntha. In his Sandarbhas, Sri Jivapad says that the word deha refers to the earth, which is the Lord's universal form. That's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay, now Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada again. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.32, Sri Parikshit Maharaj speaks to Sri Shukadev as follows. Parikshit Maharaj says, Tanum sakatam atyajat. How could he give up his body? In Sri Madhvacharya's explanation on this portion of the verse, he says that the Lord made his form completely disappear because the verb aj in this verse is used to mean take away. In other words, the Lord took away his form or made it disappear from the earth to heaven, to Goloka Dham. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.30.40, Sri Shukadev speaks to Parikshit Maharaj as follows. Ityadishto Bhagavata Krishnecha Sharirina. The hunter was thus instructed by the Supreme Lord Krishna, who assumes his transcendental body by his own will. Commentaries on this portion of the verse are as follows. Okay, so now let's just read that again. We're going to be reading the commentaries on this verse from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which says, "The hunter was thus instructed by the Supreme Lord Krishna, who assumes his transcendental body by his own will. Krishnecha sharirina." Okay, so he assumes the sharir by his own will. Krishnecha. The Lord made his own form. Wait, let's see. This is, we're reading Sridhar Swamipad's commentary now. The Lord made his own form, which is the personification of pure goodness, disappear, and he simply imitated mortal beings by leaving behind a replica of his form. Just like we read, Lakṣmīpriyā, she left a replica of her form. The act of imitation by the Lord will be clearly seen later on in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 11.31.8, wherein Shukadeva Goswami speaks to Parikshit Maharaj as follows. He says, "Most of the demigods and other higher beings led by Brahma could not see Lord Krishna as he was entering his own abode, since he did not reveal his movements. But some of them did catch sight of him, and they were extremely amazed." Now from the Krama Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami, the phrase Icha Sharirina means by he whose body manifested simply by his own will. Krishnecha Sharirina. In other words, his appearance and disappearance are manifested by his inconceivable supreme will. There is no need to think any other reason in this regard. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the phrase Icha Sharirina means by he who out of his own will accepts a transcendental body, which is glorified by everyone. Okay, now this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada again. In the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 11.30.49, the Supreme Lord speaks to his chariot driver Daruka as follows. "Manmaya rachitam etan vigyayo pashamam praja." Krishna says to Daruka, "Understanding these pastimes to be a display of my illusory potency, you should remain peaceful." Okay, now we're going to hear the commentaries on this verse. Manmaya rachitam. These are a display of my illusory potency. Okay. These are the commentaries. In order to solace Daruka, and this is from Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha, what we're reading right now. In order to solace Daruka, the Lord explains in this verse that his pastime of giving up his body is like a magic act created by the power of his illusory energy. It's like a magic act. Know that my recent activities, like the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty and the giving up of my body, which were manifest before the eyes of ordinary people, are like a magic show created by my illusory energy. Thus, you should remain indifferent. The word tu, in the first half of the above verse, means, let ordinary people who are averse to me be bewildered. But it is not reasonable for you to be bewildered. Okay, so that was Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha, and now back to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada again. Sri Shukadeva Goswami speaks to Parikshit Maharaj in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 11.31.6 as follows. Lokabhiramam swatanum dharana dhyana mangala yoga dhara nayagneya dagdva dhama vishatsvakam. 1 second, where is my phone? Doesn't matter. I'm just curious if anything, the messages I'm getting are related to the reading. No, it's not. Okay. So this verse means, this is Shukadeva speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, it verse means, without employing the mystic Agneyi meditation to burn up his transcendental body, which is the all-attractive resting place, his body, which is the all-attractive place, the all-attractive resting place of all the three worlds, and which is the object of all contemplation and meditation, without employing that Agneyi meditation to burn that transcendental body, Lord Krishna entered into his own abode. Now, commentaries on this verse are as follows. Now this is from Madhvacharya's Bhagavat Tatparya. The Lord entered his own abode without burning his own body with fire. In the Tantra Bhagavat it is stated, all other demigods reach their supreme destination by burning their own bodies through Agneyi meditation. But the Supreme Lord Hari, who has various forms headed by Krishna and Nrsimha, is eternally blissful. Therefore, he enters his abode without burning his body. He destroys the demigods' subtle bodies and dances in the midst of them at the time of annihilation. Interesting. The yogis who possess the quality... Okay, so that was Madhvacharya's Bhagavat Tatparya. Now we're reading Sridhar Swami's commentary. The yogis who possess the quality to die at will, they burn their own body with the fire of Agneyi Yoga meditation and enter other planets. But this was not the case with the Supreme Lord Krishna. He entered his own abode Vaikuntha with the same form without burning it. The reason is that all planets are fully present in his limbs. So, if his body, which is the shelter, which is the shelter of all the worlds, is burned, then the worlds would also be burned. Krishna burned his body, everything, the entire creation would be burned. Till now it has not been seen that meeting and achieving the fruits of meeting, Till now it has been seen that meeting and achieving the fruits of meeting the Lord by the worshippers of the Lord is simply attained through the process of meditation. Had the Supreme Lord burned his form, then the adjectives for his form, like Lokabhiramam, attractive to the worlds, would become meaningless. Therefore, he disappeared without burning his form. This is the appropriate meaning. Okay, that was Sridhar Swami, and now we're reading, whose commentary? Now we're reading from Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha. Okay. If a word from a statement has another meaning, then according to the logic from the Brahma Sutra 1.1.22, Akashas Tal-lingat, the Supreme Brahman is the collective ingredient of all living entities and the 5 gross material elements. So that statement, only the principle instructing... Oh, God. I don't fully understand this. Anyhow, if a word from a statement has another meaning, then according to the logic from the Brahma Sutra that the Supreme Brahman is the collective ingredient of all living entities and the 5 gross material elements, only the principal instructive meaning of the statement is accepted. Therefore, the meaning that is derived from the word dagdva, or burning, is subdued by words like lokabhiramam, which reveal the meaning adagdva, or not burning. The word lokabhiramam indicates that the Lord's form is the shelter of the entire world. From the word loka, the eternal associates and devotees from Mahavaikuntha and all animate living entities, beginning from those of the Atmarama Gyanis, the self-satisfied transcendentalists, are indicated. So, yeah, would all these associates be burned also? Because they are all, the Lord's the shelter. This form of the Lord is the shelter of all these associates. And they don't have a separate existence independent. They don't have a separate existence independent from that form. So if the Lord burned his form, then everybody else would be burned. I think that's the point being mentioned here. Moreover, the words dharana, dhyana, mangalam indicate that the form of the Lord is the shelter of those engaged in spiritual practices. How can that which is auspicious for persons engaged in meditation be otherwise? How could it be abominable due to having destroyed through burning? No, not possible. By the word swatanum, which is a karma dharaya samas, an oppositional compound, conformity with the constitutional qualities in the form of the Lord, the blueness of the blue lotus, has been firmly established. conformity with the constitutional. So there's no difference between the Lord's qualities and himself, and the Lord's form. The blueness of the blue lotus. Okay. Thereafter, Jiva Goswami continues, to refute the yogi's misconceptions, it has been said that though it is true that the Lord engaged in Agneyi meditation, he nevertheless entered his own abode without burning his form by Agneyi meditation. So in order to teach the yogis how to give up one's body, the Lord first engaged in Agneyi meditation and then made his own form disappear. This is the purport of this verse. No other meaning is suitable. Therefore, the statement, without burning his own form, yields the meaning, he burned a form that was created by his independent illusory energy. That is why in the previously cited verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11:30-40, it has been stated that the Supreme Lord manifests his form out of his supreme will. And objects that independently manifest must also independently disappear. Therefore, his engaging in the Agneyi meditation is also illusory. In Krishna Sandarbha, the phrase Icha Shariri, who takes a body according to his desire, that Icha Shariri, this statement has been explained as Shvecha Prakash. Icha Shariri means Shvecha Prakash. One who takes his body according to desire means manifested by his own will. Or also it means the body of one's desire, by which he acts as he likes. This explanation is also possible. In that case, it is to be understood that simply by his supreme will, he was the instigator of that illusion. This explanation is also proper. Okay, so that was Jiva Goswami, and now Sridhar Samipad again. The Lord, unlike the yogis who are capable of controlling their death, entered his own abode Vaikuntha without burning his own form through Agneyi meditation. And the word adagdva, without burning, indicates that his form is very pleasing to the eyes of people. In other words, it is the object of meditation. Both explanations have been described in this verse. Yeah, because it doesn't fire is related to the eye, right? Fire is the elements that created form, and the eye is the sense of that, right? So adagdva, without burning. Yeah, I think I'm guessing that's what it has to do with. Okay. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, some scholars interpret the phrase dharana dhyana mangala to mean the Lord burned his own form and emerged from that fire with a more effulgent form like that of the pure Jambu river, and then entered his own abode. The purport is that the Lord showed those who are doubtful and opposed to the concept that his form is spiritual, that his form is unburnable by the fire of his own form. That's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. Now, commentaries. Now, this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada again. He says, commentaries on Sri Shukadev's statement to Parikshit Maharaj in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11:31 verses 11 to 13 are as follows. Okay, so what were we just reading? These were the commentaries on verse. This is from 11:31:6. What we just read were the commentaries on that verse, 11:31:6. And now we're reading the commentaries on 11:31:11 to 13. So the next few verses. Here are the commentaries. The first commentary is from Sridhar Samipad. Sridhar Samipad says, you should understand that the appearance and disappearance manifested among mortal beings by the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the cause of all causes, are shows enacted by his illusory energy, just like the performance of an actor. Param Gurudev has a whole article on this topic. After he creates this universe, he enters into it as the Supersoul, and after detaching himself from the pastimes of this material world, he winds it up. By the influence of his own transcendental glory, the Lord remains situated in his eternal unmanifested kingdom. Apart from this, one need not accept another meaning. Because various opulences have been exhibited in his present incarnation. If one asks, if the Lord was able to protect himself, then why didn't he remain within his own form for even a moment longer? If the Lord is able to, In answer to this, it is said, though the Lord is ultimately powerful and the only cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction of innumerable universes, thinking that his mundane mortal body would not be effective anymore, and exhibiting the supreme destination of the self-realized souls, he did not wish to keep his form after the killing of the mortal Yadavas. Rather, he took it to his own abode. Otherwise, the above-mentioned self-realized souls would disregard achieving the supreme destination, and they would endeavor to remain in this material world by achieving yogic perfections. So that this calamity may not happen, in other words, to check this, the Lord enacts his disappearance pastimes. That was Sridhar Swami Prabhupada. Okay. Now we're reading a commentary of Śrī Madhvacharya's Bhagavad Tattva. Okay, so the phrase Tanu Brij Janana Pyayeha in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.31.11, that means resembling the birth and death of embodied living beings. The Vedas state, Vishnu, the Lord of all living entities, wanders within the universe. Though he does not take birth like conditioned souls, he appears in various forms. In the Brahma Purana it is said, in order to bewilder foolish people by his illusory energy, Lord Vishnu manifests himself as a born living entity, though unborn, and he manifests as a dead living entity, though deathless. Elsewhere it is stated, Lord Purushottam exhibits his human-like endeavors in order to bewilder the people of this world. Moreover, though the Supreme Lord Vishnu does not personally accept a material body, in order to bewilder sinful people, he manifests himself like a mortal being, and through his illusory energy, he creates a dead body for display. Actually, the Supersoul, Lord Hari, is immortal. So how can there be a dead body? It is stated in the Brahmanda Purana, various Vedic statements that apparently describe the non-difference of the living entities from the Supreme Lord, and Lord Vishnu's accepting and giving up bodies like an ordinary living entity, his miseries, and his cutting and piercing of his body by the arrows of his enemies, also his defeat and his dependence, or in other words, his remaining under the control of others. All these have been stated to bewilder the sinful demons. First Rukmini, the daughter of Bhishmaka, and then Satyabhama disappeared in the forest. Both of them possess pure spiritual bodies, so they did not give up their bodies like ordinary living entities. That's Srimad Vacharya's Śrī Bhagavat Sandarbha. Bhagavat Tatparya. Okay. Sorry, when I misread a word, that means sleep's coming, no. But I think I'll be okay. Okay, now we're reading from Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha. The Yadavas were not products of this material world. So what to speak of Rama and Krishna? Even the Yadavas were not products of this material world. In order to establish this conclusion, it is being said that the activities of the appearance and disappearance by the Yadavas, who are eternal associates of the Lord and who possess pure forms equal to that of the Lord, they are also illusory like those of Krishna. Okay? Such activities are exactly like those of a magician who can kill or burn his or others' bodies and then display them alive again. The inconceivable, omnipotent Lord is the cause of universal destruction. For him, such an exhibition of prowess is not very wonderful. In this way, Sitaya radito vahnish chaya sitam aji janat tam jahara dashagriva sitavahni puram gata. Pariksha samaye vahnim chaya sita viveshasa vahni sitam samaniya tatpurastad aninayat. Where is that from? I don't know where that's from. Anyways, when he was petitioned by Mother Sita, the fire god Agni brought forth an illusory form of Sita, and Ravan, who had 10 heads, kidnapped the false Sita. The original Sita then went to the abode of the fire god. When Lord Ramachandra tested the body of Sita, it was the false illusory Sita that entered the fire. At that time, the fire god brought the original Sita from his abode and delivered her to Lord Ramachandra. According to this statement from the Brihad Agni Purana, materialists have misinterpreted the example of the illusory or false pastimes of Ravan kidnapping Sita, who is the transcendental goddess of fortune, and the foolish person's misconceptions about personalities like Sri Sankarshan. What to speak of the Yadavas who possess transcendental spiritual bodies? Various other persons who are maintained by Krishna are also not subjected to death. Was Krishna unable to protect his own associates, the Yadavas? Therefore, the Yadavas' activities, such as giving up their bodies, are not real pastimes. Rather, it is most reasonable to accept that they returned to Goloka in their same bodies. If one argues that the Yadavas went back to Godhead in their own bodies, but since the Lord was present, they had no distress or separation from him. But if the Lord was able to protect his own men, why didn't he have other associates advent like the Yadavas and remain for some time with them in this world for the benefit of the living entities? The conclusive answer stated in this verse is that both the Lord and the Yadavas have uninterrupted affection for each other. Although the Lord is unlimitedly powerful, after causing the disappearance of the Yadavas, he thought, "What is the necessity for me to remain in this world without the Yadavas?" With this in mind, the Lord disclosed that his destination was the same as that attained by the Yadavas, who had returned to the Lord's abode. And thus he no longer wished to keep his form in this world for even a moment. So he took it to his own abode. That's from the Krama Sandarbha. Now I'm guessing Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Let's see. Yes. Now we're reading Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay, now I think I'm going to just stand up before I start falling asleep. I haven't. Let's see. The comments. Okay, everything looks good. Okay. Shri Shukadev Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Shri Shukadev solaces Parikshit Maharaj, who is distressed on hearing about the disappearance of the Lord and his associates from the eyes of the world. So he tries to solace Parikshit Maharaj by describing the conclusive truths regarding the Lord's pastimes. One should know that the Lord's activities of birth and death, like ordinary embodied souls, are simply acts of illusion. They are neither factual nor real. Both the birth and death of living entities who possess bodies made of semen and blood are full of happiness and distress. But both the appearance and the disappearance of the Supreme Lord, who possesses a spiritual body, are completely full of spiritual happiness. In the Brahmanda Puran, it is stated, "The form of Lord Hari is devoid of mundane abomination and delight. But words like acceptance and rejection, which are found in his activities, are to be understood as his appearance and disappearance." Jiva Goswami says, they're just like the exhibition of a magician, who, while remaining in his living state, manifests his and other, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, they're just like the exhibition of a magician who, while remaining in his living state, manifests his and others' false birth and death. Due to the curse of the sages, the Lord personally created the great disturbance, the inter-family quarrel, and the inter-family fighting with weapons. And he therefore joins the mortal Yadavas, who took up a cane stock weapon. And after sporting with them for some time,
killed them, all the while remaining aloof on the strength of his illusory energy. Although the Lord is supremely opulent and unlimitedly powerful, after sending the demigods who had merged among the Yadavas back to heaven, he did not personally desire to keep his body or his associates' Yadavs' bodies in this world. Rather, he desired to make them disappear because there is no need for them to remain in this world. In other words, the Lord had no need for the material world. The Lord had no need of the material world, but he had need of his own abode, Goloka. Since the Lord appeared in this world due to the prayers of Brahma and other demigods of heaven, again, simply by their prayers, the Lord exhibited to Brahma and the other demigods of heaven his return to Vaikuntha. This is clearly being explained in this verse. If one gives a contrary explanation to this, then it would contradict Uddhav's statement in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 3.2.11, and it will be unacceptable to the pure devotees. That such an explanation is demoniac and unacceptable to the devotees was personally declared by Uddhav in the previous verse of Śrīmad Bhagavatam 3.2.10 as follows. Uddhav said, being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord, those who are mortal Yadavas and those who are averse and inimical to the Lord, like Shishupal, criticize the Lord. My heart is surrendered to Krishna, so let my intelligence never be bewildered by such criticism. In other words, those whose intelligence is bewildered by such criticism are certainly fooled by Maya. Okay, so that was all Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Now back to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. In his commentary on Mahabharata 2, verses 79 to 83, Sri Madhvacharya has stated, nowhere is it mentioned that Lord Vishnu takes birth like an ordinary living entity. So where is the question of his death? He is not to be killed or bewildered by anyone. Where is the question of misery for the independent Supreme Lord who is full of eternal bliss? Although the Supreme Lord Hari has mastery over the entire universe, he nevertheless exhibits himself as weak. He nevertheless exhibits himself as weak as an ordinary farmer in the course of his eternal pastimes. Yeah, even though he has mastery over the entire universe, he exhibits himself as weak as an ordinary farmer in the course of his eternal pastimes. But even though in the course of his pastimes, he sometimes forgets his own identity, he sometimes searches for Sita while suffering the distress of separation like a henpecked husband. And sometimes he is bound by the ropes of Indrajit. So even though he manifests these pastimes, it should be known that these pastimes are simply meant for bewildering the demons. His pastimes, like being bewildered by the arrows of the demons, wiping the blood from his open wound, inquiring from others like an ignorant person, and his giving up his body and going to heaven, they are performed like the drama of an actor, simply to bewilder the demons. The devotees, however, know these pastimes as illusory. In other words, they know that these pastimes are simply false deceit. The appearance and disappearance pastimes of Lord Hari are not like those of ordinary embodied living entities. Rather, they are all completely faultless. Apart from this, whatever reverses we see bewilder even simple, ignorant, pious persons, and what to speak of the miscreants. It is to be understood that these pastimes of the Supersoul, Lord Hari, are to award fruits to the living entities according to their respective mentalities. Wait, who was that? I thought that was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhu. Oh, that was Madhvacharya. Okay. And now Madhvacharya continues the same commentary on Mahabharata, 33, verses 33 to 34, says that Madhvacharya says, although the Supreme Lord and Master of all living entities, Achyuta, is Satchidananda Vigraha, and his disappearance pastimes of incarnations in which he does not exhibit illusion or maya during his appearance, he imitates an ordinary living entity, giving up his body in order to bewilder the demons and send them to the darkest regions of hell by creating a material body that resembles a rejected dead body. And after leaving it lying on the ground, he personally goes to Vaikuntha. Okay, now Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada again. One should refer to verses 18 to 36 of the Shuddhi Saurabh section of the Yukti Malika, which was written by the lion-like logician Śrī Bhadaraj Swami, who is celebrated as the second Madhvacharya in the Śrī Madhva Sampradaya. In verses 37 to 39, it is said, if one sees sandalwood with his eyes, then knowledge about the fragrance of that sandalwood is obtained. In this process, the eyes take the help of the nose. Otherwise, if one had not previously smelled the fragrance of sandalwood, he could not obtain knowledge of its fragrance by seeing it with his eyes. Similarly, other evidence takes help from the Vedas to establish the meaning of knowledge acquired by hearing. Because the evidence of the Vedas is prominent in realization of transcendental subject matters, other evidence like pratyaksha, direct perception, and anuman, hypothesis, which are dependent on the Vedas, are unable to serve the purpose of understanding transcendental subject matters due to their conflicting nature. Therefore, in considering the absolute truth, the faulty vision of ignorant people cannot be considered evidence. Okay, so that was Bhadaraj Swami. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says, apart from all this, one should carefully discuss Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verses 6, 9, and 14, chapter 7, verses 6 to 7, and 24 to 25, chapter 9, verses 8 to 9, and 11 to 13, then chapter 10, verses 3 and 8, and chapter 16, verses 19 and 20. We want to understand this tattva about the disappearance of the Lord. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada continues, the word ati alakshite is explained in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 11:31, verses 8 to 9, wherein Sri Shukadev speaks to Parikshit as follows. Most of the demigods and other higher beings led by Brahma could not see Lord Krishna as he was entering his own abode, since he did not reveal his movements. But some of them did catch sight of him, and they were extremely amazed. This is repetition. Anyways, okay. Just as ordinary, we just read this verse, translation just a bit above. Just as ordinary men cannot ascertain the path of a lightning bolt as it leaves a cloud, the demigods could not trace out the movements of Lord Krishna as he returned to his abode. Only his associates could see. Okay, it was ending with that verse that was the concluding verse. And also we quoted verse 8, not verse 9. So, okay. Just as ordinary man cannot ascertain the path of a lightning bolt as it leaves a cloud, the demigods could not trace the movements of the Lord as he returned to his abode. Only his associates could see. Okay, great. All right, now back to Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. That was the end of that commentary. Okay. So what was that verse of commentary of? Let's just, 1 second. So I just want to read just to get the flow. Let's just go back here. Okay. Okay, so it said, eventually Lakshmi could no longer tolerate separation from the Lord, and she desired to go join him. Lakshmi left a replica body on the bank of the Ganga in this world, and she went invisibly to the side of the Lord. Now this is the next verse. Prabhupada Parma Lakshmi Dhoriya Hriday Dhyane Ganga Tire Devi Korila Vijay. She thus took the lotus feet of the Lord in her heart, and in deep meditation, she departed to the bank of the Ganga. Just want to see if anybody wrote any comments. No, okay. Ekhane shachir dukha na pari kohite, kashta dvaye air she krandana shunite, she shakala dukha rasa na pari varnite, ataiva kichu kohilaya sutramate, sadhu gana shuni boro hoila dukhita, Sobe ashi karja korilen jato chitta. I cannot describe Mother Shachi's grief. Even wood melted on hearing her cry. Since I am unable to narrate such distressful pastimes, I have described them only in brief. All the devotees were grief-stricken on hearing about Lakshmi's disappearance, and they duly performed her last rites. Yeah, whenever it gets to anything sad, Vrindavan Das Thakur, it's always very brief, like just a couple verses and like, okay, let's skip over that, because he doesn't like to write about sad things. Caitanya-bhāgavata is all full of happiness. If you want the heavy, sad things, read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. Thinking about the vacant situation in the house of her jewel-like son, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, who is more dear than her own life, Shachi Devi merged in an ocean of indescribable misery, and she began to lament in pathetic words that melted even stone. Meanwhile, being also afflicted with distress, the pious neighbors faithfully completed the disappearance festival of Lakṣmīpriyā Devi. Ishvara Thakiya Koto Dina Bangladeshe Asite Hoilo Icha Nija Griha Vase. After staying in East Bengal for some time, the Lord desired to return home. Tobe grihe prabhu asiben heno shuni jar jeno shakti sabe dila dhana ani. When the people of East Bengal heard that the Lord was returning home, they brought various gifts and wealth according to their capacity. Swarna Rajata Jala Patra Divyasan Suranga Kambal, colorful blankets, Bahu Prakara Vasan Uttama Padartha Jata Chilo Jar Ghare Shabe Santoshe Ani Dilen Prabhure. They happily gave the Lord gold, silver, water pots, asanas, colorful blankets, various clothing, and whatever other fine items they had in their homes. Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. The phrase Suranga Kambal refers to a bright, beautiful, attractive colored blanket. In this case, a colored shawl. There's a question mark there. Maybe the translator had a difficult time understanding that. Okay. Prabhu Osobar Prati Kripa Drishti Kori Parigraha Korilen Gauranga Shrihari. Lord Gauranga glanced mercifully at everyone as he accepted their gifts. Santoshe Sabar Sthane Hoya Bidai Nija Grihe Cholilen Śrī Gauranga Rai. After taking leave from them, Lord Gauranga happily started for home. Aneka parua sab Prabhur Sahite Cholilen Prabhu Sthane Tathai Porite. Many students came to Navadvip with the Lord to continue studying under him. Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. While the Lord was returning from East Bengal, some students came with him to Navadvip in order to study from him. Henoy shamoy eka sukriti brahman ati saragrahinam Miśra Tapan. Meanwhile, a pious swan-like Brahman named Tapan Miśra arrived there. Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. The phrase Sukriti Brahman is explained as follows. In this universe, Brahmanism, or knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, is the highest platform and the ultimate goal of all pious activities. If a knower of Brahman engages his mind in serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Brahman, Lord Vishnu, then the limit of his fortune is incomparable. And the Garuda Purana, it is stated, it is said that out of thousands of Brahmanas, one is qualified to perform sacrifices. And out of many thousands of such qualified Brahmanas, experts in sacrificial offerings, One learned Brahmin may have passed beyond all Vedic knowledge. He is considered the best among all these Brahmanas. And yet, out of thousands of such Brahmanas who have surpassed Vedic knowledge, one person may be a Vishnu Bhakta, and he is most famous. Out of many thousands of such Vaishnavas, one who is completely fixed in the service of Lord Krishna is most famous. Such a person is called Saragrahi, or swan-like. The opposite of Saragrahi is Bharavahi, or ass-like. Saragrahi and Bharavahi. In other words, those who are unable to understand the purport of the Vedas and literatures in pursuance of the Vedas, and who are always busy with external considerations due to foolishness, they are called Bharavahi. They are not Saragrahi. Materialists, karmis, and jnanis are called Bharavahis. Only the pure devotees, or Vaishnavas, are clever and intelligent. They give up the worthless ass-like mentality, and they become properly situated in understanding the confidential purport of all scriptures. Okay, so Tapan Miśra was Sadhya Sadhana Tattva Nirupite Nare Eno Jana Nahi Tata Jigyasive Jare. Tapan Miśra was confused about the goal of life and the means for attaining it. Moreover, he could not find anyone to clear his confusion. Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. The process by which one attains his desired goal is called sadhan. The devotional scriptures referred to this sadhan as abhideya. Due to a lack of knowledge concerning one's relationship with the Lord, various new concocted ways of attaining perfection are described and practiced by the non-devotees. Austerities, worship, ritualistic ceremonies, vows, Vedic study, practicing kumbhak, purak, and rechak by controlling the breath, offering oblations to one's forefathers, renunciation, asanas, bathing 3 times a day, visiting holy places, meditation and contemplation in order to control the mind, and fruit of deity worship, they are generally accepted as sadhans by ass-like persons who are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. What were they called? Bhavavahis, I think, right? These sadhans are simply other means of deceiving the living entities. Actually, only Vaishnavas are qualified to ascertain the goal of life and the process for attaining it. But if persons who are devoid of devotion to Vishnu try to ascertain the process for achieving the goal, there is a great chance of being misguided. Particularly, in comparison, we can see that if one endeavors to ascertain the process for achieving the goal of life with the help of mental speculation, it will invite mistakes, illusions, and obstacles, and one will not reach the eternal ultimate goal of life. We're completely dependent on sadhu, guru, and shastra. Otherwise, we will not reach the eternal ultimate goal of life. Anything that we try, any kind of process will be full of mistakes, illusions, and obstacles. While considering the goal of life, the Salvationists mistakenly conclude that achieving freedom from the threefold miseries, that is the sadhya, or the goal of life, just achieving freedom from threefold miseries. The materialists consider immediate sense gratification as the goal of life, and the Salvationists ascertain that merging in the impersonal Brahman is the goal of life. The root of their misconceptions is simply their mistakes and nothing else. The swan-like devotees of the Lord, they do not follow the conceptions of either the Salvationists or the materialists, but they accept love of God as the goal of life. Prem Prayojan. They know that both heavenly pleasures and merging into the impersonal Brahman are simply fraud. Since proud scholars of various communities in Bengal, like the materialists, the karmis, and the jnanis, were ignorant about the actual science of sadhya and sadhan, when they were asked about the goal of life and the means for attaining it by the sharply intelligent pious Brahmin Tapan Miśra, who is desirous of serving the Lord, and Tapan Miśra, who is most qualified to accept the essence of the Vedas and their associate literatures, he could not get a proper answer. Neja ishta mantra sada jape ratri dine soyasti nahi kochite sadhananga vine. He silently chanted his Krishna mantra day and night. But since he was not practicing other important limbs of devotional service, he could not achieve peace. So I guess you needed to do more than just chanting Krishna mantra. Yeah, Krishna mantra, that's just doing your mantras, your Gayatri mantra, but that's not necessarily the Maha mantra, right? Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. Let's see. The word soyasti, a corruption of the Sanskrit word swasti, means steadiness of the mind or peacefulness. Though he was day and night engaged in chanting the mantras of his worshipable Lord, he did not achieve peace of mind. In devotional scriptures, there are 64 limbs of sadhana described. And among these limbs of sadhana, 5 limbs have been described as the best. Among these 5, the topmost limb of sadhana, congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, is the path demonstrated by Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. None of the limbs of devotional service can be performed properly until and unless one accepts the support of chanting the holy names. Without sadhana, one can never achieve peace of mind. The purport of this statement is that the chanting of the holy names, the basis of pleasing Krishna, is the only sadhana. And until one develops love for Krishna, which is the only sadhya, achieving perfection in sadhana is difficult and incomplete. Okay. What verse are we reading up to? Oh my God, it's already 8:30. 126. It will only take a minute. Maybe we should stop here. Let's just really quickly get to this. Okay. Bhavite chintite eka dina ratri sheshe suswapana dekila dvija nija bhagya-bhāṣya. While disturbed in this way, late one night, the fortunate Brahman had an auspicious dream. Sammukhe asiya eka deva murtiman brahmanere kohe gupta charitra akhyan. A demigod appeared before the Brahman Tapan Miśra, and he began to tell him some confidential topics. What did the Brahman say? Oh, the demigod. The demigod said, Shruno shruno ohe dvija parama sudhir chintana koriho ar mana korostir. The demigod said, oh, sober Brahman, please listen. Steady your mind and do not worry. Nimai pandita pasha koroho gaman teho kohi ben toma sadhya sadhan. Go to Nimai Pandit. He will explain to you the goal of life and the means for attaining it. Manusha nahente ho nara narayan nara rupe lilatar jagatakaran. He is not an ordinary human being. He is Nara Narayan himself. He is performing his pastimes as a human being to deliver the people of the world. Veda gopya eshakal na kohi bekare kohi le paibe dukha janma janmantare. Do not disclose these facts to anyone, for this information is confidential even to the Vedas. If you do, you'll be unhappy birth after birth. I'm going to skip this commentary because we'll read that tomorrow. Antardhana hoila deva brahmana jagila suswapna dekhiya vipra kandite lagila. As the demigod disappeared, the Brahman woke from his sleep. After seeing the auspicious dream, he began to cry. Aho bhagya mani puna chetana paiya shekhane cholilen prabhu dheyaya. Recovering from his trance, he exclaimed, what good luck! Then he immediately left to see the Lord. Gauḍīya-bhāṣya. The phrase aho bhagyamani means considering himself extraordinarily fortunate. Okay, so that's where we'll end with today. We'll hear about what the Lord said back to him tomorrow. We'll hear about their. Okay. According to this clock, I'm only 1 minute late. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.
Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashata Rashata Shishmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Rupa Gauḍīya Guru Varga ki jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradatta Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Radhakun Shamakun ki jai, Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, the Gauḍīya-bhāṣya of Srila Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Lakṣmīpriyā ki jai, Shri Tapan Miśra ki jai, Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, everyone in Bangladesh ki jai, Shri Harinam Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bo.
Oh, so I forgot. I should have had you do Jayavani. I just have it. Anyways, Dandavat pronouns. Vancha Kalpat. No, Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Krishna Bhashta Krishna Bhakti Prada Devi Satyavataya Namaha. Vancha Kalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhupya Ekacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pronouns. Haribo. Okay, according to your clock, I was right on time. Your clock is 5 minutes late. Oh, actually, no. I said that the reading would be from, like, I made it in the schedule that reading would go until 8:35. It gave me myself a 5-minute buffer. So yeah, I'm only 2 minutes over time now.
What is it? 7:30 to 8:35.
Yes. Okay.
Says right on YouTube.
Okay, great. Cool.
Where are you, Prabhu?
I'm at my friend's place. I have to get his permission if I can. I don't know. But yes, I'm at my friend's place in Mayapur.
I'm in unknown Vaishnav territory.
Yes, I'm in anonymous Prabhu's place.
It looks very nice. Nice bookshelf, yes. And yeah.
Yes. Oh, tons of books. Oh my God.
Banana trees outside and very
yes. Mayapur is really, really nice.
Yeah. Hare
Krishna.
Thank you for the reading.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, of course, this is my fortune. And very soon, Lalita Saptami is the day after tomorrow. And then the day after that is Radhashtami. And then a couple days after that is Vaman Dwadashi and Jiva Goswami's appearance day. Then the day after that, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's appearance day. The day after that, Srila Haridas Thakur's and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj's disappearance day. Then the day after that, Vishwarup Mahotsav, the day Srila Prabhupada took sannyas and Srila Param Gurudev took sannyas. So it's just festival after festival after festival. But tomorrow we will be finishing this chapter. I was wrong yesterday, but yeah, tomorrow we'll definitely be finishing this chapter. And then it will just be Radharani Katha. We'll read about Lalita Devi and then Radharani Katha for a few days. And then, yeah, be festival after festival. And so we'll continue Caitanya-bhāgavata after like 10 days from now. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, after tomorrow, whatever, you get the point. All right.
There's a recording of Guru Maharaj also asking a devotee, okay, and then what comes after Vaman Dwadashi? And then what comes after that? Okay, and what comes after that? It just reminded me of that.
Oh, speaking of your Guru Maharaj's disappearance day, would you maybe you can give a nice glorification on that day, and you can have lots of time to speak about Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj.
if I'm here and not at a program somewhere.
Yes, that's the point. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you're there. Otherwise, maybe the day after on Vishwarup Mahotsav. That's a good idea. Like on Namacharya Haridas Thakur's day, we can read about Haridas Thakur. We can read a little something about Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj. And on Vishwarup Mahotsav, there isn't that much to, we can speak a little something about Srila Prabhupada and Parama Gurudev and Vishwarup, whatever. But then we'll have a good amount of time for you to glorify him the day after that. Right? So Vishwarup Mahotsav day will be the day you can glorify.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. Jai Shri Radhe. See you all tomorrow. Unless, do you have anything that you wanted to say before I end?
Oh, I had a question. It's kind of like a Bharagrahi question, but what happened to the replica, Krishna's replica body?
Yeah.
Has it been described anywhere?
No. I mean, like, I've never heard of anything. Just, I mean, we read it. I don't remember what it said. After the hunter shot Krishna, got the thing, did it? I don't remember what the description was. Exactly. I have to look that up.
Because all I've heard is speculation, nothing from actual Shastra.
Oh, so Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't really make it clear what happened. It just kind of mentions that, and then he, yeah. Just okay. Yeah, I know, like with Mahaprabhu, and with Nityananda Prabhu, and right, he enters into, Mahaprabhu entered into Gopinath. Well, people say with Mahaprabhu, they say three different things. They say Mahaprabhu entered into Jagannath. Some people say that he entered into the ocean. Some people say that he entered into Toto Gopinath. I think we mostly say that he entered into Toto Gopinath. But then with Nityananda Prabhu, yes,
I heard that it happens simultaneously. The three of them are right.
Yeah,
That's what
it happened all. Yeah, it all happened all simultaneously. I heard the same thing. Mahaprabhu is Bhagavan.
yes,
Right, exactly.
I heard that those who were in the Jagannath temple, they saw Mahaprabhu enter into Jagannath. Those who were at the ocean, they saw Mahaprabhu yelling Yamuna, and then Mahaprabhu going into the ocean. Those who were in the Gambhira saw Mahaprabhu going into the Gambhira, and those who saw Mahaprabhu in the temple of Tota Gopinath, they saw Mahaprabhu entering into Tota Gopinath.
Okay, so 4 forms. Cool. And then Nityananda Prabhu said that he entered into Bankim Rai, right?
Yeah, Bankim Rai. Virabhadra Prabhu as well.
Virabhadra Prabhu as well. And it's also said that Bankim Rai was the younger brother of Nityananda Prabhu, right? Or was the elder brother?
Younger brother.
Younger brother, yeah. The Lord's birth. What is that famous verse from Bhagavad Gita? Janma karma chame divyam.
Evam yo veti tattatoha taktam deham punarjanma naitmamiti sarjana.
Yes. So that's why we read this long purport of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because once we are able to realize this topic, then we'll never have to take birth again in this world, right? Am I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Padmanabha Maharaj really likes that verse. Yeah, he talks about it a lot. He talks about how Prabhupada quotes it a lot. It's that's chapter 4, verse I think 9, right after Yada-yada-hi-dharmasya.
Okay.
Wait, what? Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, I just found it right now. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
Jai Ho. So our Acharyas are so merciful, putting so much time and effort into trying to make us understand this topic. Yes.
Tapan Miśra Prabhu is the father of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
I didn't remember that.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, yes.
I probably heard it. Like I hear so much, and everything leaves my head. So I have a really bad memory. But okay, so he's the father of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Amazing.
And it's wonderful instructions of Gaurachandra to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He said to stay with his parents and take care of them. He also gives him his own neck beads. And this other thing. Yeah, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And now the last year and a half I've been listening to Caitanya-bhāgavata. So I had to go back to Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're wonderful stories. But yeah.
Wow. Who gave the neck beads? Mahaprabhu to who?
To Raghunath Bhatta Goswami.
Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Wow.
I told him to remain a brahmachari. So take care of your parents, and then when they're gone, then go to Vrindavan and remain brahmachari.
Wow. Amazing.
You want to hear?
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna
continue.
Who is Tapan Miśra in Krishna Lila? Like in what's Gauḍīya-bhāṣya say? Do you know? I can look that up because I have our own version of Gauḍīya-bhāṣya, which I'm working on right now. What were you gonna say, Kishore?
Oh, I was gonna ask if you want to hear what happened to Lakṣmīpriyā from Chaitanya Mangal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know.
According to, by the way, Tapan Miśra proves his deities are there in Vrindavan. They're currently being worshipped in the Gopinath Gaudiya Math Vrindavan.
Oh, that's Tapan Miśra. Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar with those deities. Yeah, I have pictures of them. Yeah.
Yes.
So read from Chaitanya Mangal.
So Lochan Das Thakur says, back in Navadvip, Lakshmi Devi, her heart fully dedicated to Lord Vishwambar, faithfully and happily served Shachimata. She regularly cleaned the house and worshipped the family deity with perfumes, incense, ghee lamps, flower garlands, and sandalwood pulp. Shachi Devi forgot her distress and became content of her daughter-in-law's sweet behavior. Lakshmi also felt pleasure in the company of Shachimata. Lakshmi and Shachi Devi were peacefully living together, but who can impede the will of providence? Lakshmi Devi's heart continually burned in painful separation from her beloved Lord Gauda. One day, this separation took the form of a snake and bit Lakṣmīpriyā. Shachi Devi panicked and called for a mantra doctor to neutralize the venom. None of his cures could help Lakshmi. Shachi Devi became afraid and distraught. As Lakshmi Devi neared the end of her life, she was brought to the bank of the Ganges. Tulsi beads were wrapped around her neck, and everyone in the four directions chanted the Lord's holy names. No one could understand that Lakshmi Devi would now go to the Lord's eternal abode. Then suddenly, a celestial chariot surrounded by Gandharvas descended from the sky to pick her up. Lakshmi Devi chanted the name of Hari and went to Vaikuntha. The people were amazed to see this. Shachi and the women of Nadia also cried piteously as they remembered the good qualities of Lakshmi Devi. Tears streamed down their breasts, wetting their saris. They exhaled hot breath and hit their foreheads with their palms, expressing their deep lamentation. Lakshmi Devi, whose nature and qualities equaled those of the goddess of fortune, had no match in the whole city of Nadia. Shachi Devi wept while saying, "How can I go back to my house alone? Who will worship our family deities and care for me? From today on, my house is empty and void. Why have you left Vishwambar? O sinful snake, where have you gone? Why didn't you bite me instead of my wonderful daughter-in-law? My son left his wife behind and traveled to a distant country just to serve me. How can I bear to look at my son's face, with my heart burning in separation from my daughter-in-law?" Seeing Shachi Devi's bereavement, her friends tried to pacify her with comforting words. No one can change their destiny. This body, and the whole material existence is just an illusory reality. As a wise woman, you should know these things. Why aren't you listening to our words of consolation? Everyone must die one day. Even the greatest demigods, up to Lord Brahma, will meet with destruction. For one who is born, death is certain, either in youth or in old age. From the Vedas, we know that Krishna is the only truth. One who doesn't serve the Supreme Lord is certainly a fool. After consoling Shachi Devi, all her friends chanted the holy names in order to check their tears. After staying in East Bengal for some time, Vishwambar joyfully returned home. Before leaving, Vishwambar worshipped an unlimited number of Vaishnavas with varieties of wealth. Vishwambar brought on cloth, gold, pearls, and coral and silver for Shachimata. When he arrived home, Vishwambar paid respects to his mother and looked affectionately at her face. With a saddened face, Shachi stood speechless. Again, Gauḍ touched her feet, but still no response. Puzzled, Vishwambar asked, "Mother, why is your face so downcast? It burns my heart to see you look so sad." Tears poured down, moistening the sari covering her breasts, and her voice choked up as Shachimata spoke. "My daughter-in-law has now gone to Vaikuntha." Gaur's heart sank to the depths of misery, and his eyes filled with tears and compassion. He said, "Listen, mother, I'll tell you a story about why Lakshmi Devi took birth." Okay, I think I'll just send it here.
Wow. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, he said that it's too painful for him to get into this topic. And so he's like, okay, let's move on. But Lochan Das Thakur, he really goes into it. I remember reading, there's a song that we sing by him on Navadvip Parikrama about Mahaprabhu taking sannyas, and it's like a really intense song. He really went deep into the heavy stuff. So yeah, wow, that's beautiful though, really beautiful. Yeah, maybe you could even finish that tomorrow also. Just like when we do the recap, you can.
If you want me to continue reading, I can. Just a small piece.
How much longer is it? Is it just like
two paragraphs, I think, one or two
sure,
paragraphs.
right, let's just finish it. Yeah, and if anybody needs to go, they can go. Yeah.
Okay. Gaura's heart sank to the depths of misery, and his eyes filled with tears of compassion. He said, "Listen, mother, I'll tell you a story about why Lakshmi Devi took birth. Once upon a time, an Apsara used to dance in the heavenly palace of Indra. By the arrangement of providence, she made a mistake while dancing and broke her rhythm. As a result, Indra cursed her to take birth as a human. Feeling sorry, Indra said, 'Don't be sad, you will get a chance to serve the Lord in his earthly pastimes. I bless you to become his wife at that time. Then you'll return to my abode.' Mother, my wife Lakshmi Devi already told me about this, so don't lament, for no one can change the will of providence." Shachimata heard her son's words with great attention. She stopped thinking about it and gave up all her lamentation. Then Gauranga rejoined his friends and discussed other topics. Lochandas says, "Just hear the wonderful story of Lakshmi Devi's ascending to Vaikuntha."
Jai. Lakṣmīpriyā ki jai.
Ki
Chaitanya
jai.
Mangal ki jai. Śrī Lochan Das Thakur ki jai. Are you going to say Nidhi?
No, it speaks about being in the court of Indra. So this is I also read that these demigods are beyond material world too. So is that why it says both things, that she goes back to Vaikuntha and that she will go back to the court of Lord Indra? Question.
What was the question?
Well, you just read that she was an Apsara or a dancer in the court of Lord Indra, broke her rhythm, and then she gets cursed to come. But it's a kind of a nice curse because she'll be the wife, the consort of the Lord. And then both Achimata and Lochan Das Thakur, they say, well, she goes to Vaikuntha. So Indra is in Vaikuntha too. It's a confirmation that there are demigods in that other side of the Viraja river, beyond, into Vaikuntha.
When it comes to like different, like the swarups of different personalities, it's like very complicated and not very
like we hear about Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mata, and we hear about Vasudeva and Devaki, that there's Drona and Tara, and
Right.
but there's like multiple personalities in one body, and they did, it's like really not so straight and like clear,
Right.
with these different personalities, who's who and how many personalities is in one body, and what manifests. Like it's something completely inconceivable. So that's
Right.
whenever it gets to that topic, I'm kind of just like, okay.
Because she's the Lakshmi too. I mean, she's principally a Lakshmi, the consort of the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, she's Lakshmi Devi and Rukmini Devi, both.
Right. Right. And that Apsara.
And that Apsara. Mm-hmm.
Actually, what is it? It was in the beginning of the commentary for that verse. It was a few different personalities. What was it? She is, I have it right here. She is, anyways, whatever. Okay, wait. She who has previously appeared as Śrī Janaki, Rukmini, and Lakshmi has now appeared as Lakshmi in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. That's from Gaur Ganadhish Dipika. Janaki, Rukmini, and Lakshmi.
Lakshmi Devi.
Yes. Yeah. So much nectar. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Vishnupriya is Satyabhama.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Satyabhama is a manifestation of Radha.
Yes.
Right.
And then which like with Shri Leela and Shri Bhu and Leela is Lakṣmīpriyā Shri and Vishnupriya Bhu?
I don't remember, but we read this.
We went over it like a few times, didn't we? But yeah,
and then Mayapur too. Maya is
Leela.
It's Leela, yeah.
Leela, Neela, or Durga. I remember that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oof.
I remember hearing a story that Chandravali once went to Krishna and said, Krishna, I want to be your consort in Dwarka. Radharani is always fighting with you here in Vrindavan, but I'm more like a servant, like a submissive servant. So I should be your queen in Dwarka. And Krishna said, okay, you will be Rukmini, and Radha will be Satyabhama.
So yeah, and Rukmini is the principal queen in Dwarka, right? And so this time Chandravali gets to be the main one. And Vrindavan Radharani is like, and then in Dwarka Rukmini, Chandravali gets to get that position. Yeah.
So it's interesting when because there's Vaishnavas who worship Gaur Vishnupriya.
Yes. Yes. And in Archan, right, Archan is Gaur Vishnupriya. You worship Gaur Vishnupriya. And in the Bhajan Marg, you worship Gaur Gadadhar, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Worship Gaur Vishnupriya is very interesting. But our Ishta is Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata with Gadadhar Pandit and Radha Krishna.
But yeah, that is actually very interesting that Satyabhama and Krishna and Radha and Krishna, it just sees a little bit more connection with Gadadhar Pandit and Vishnupriya and Mahaprabhu. Like they're both close. Gadadhar Pandit and Vishnupriya are closer than I realized in that way.
Jai Radha.
All right. Jai Shri Radhe.
Very well.
See you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe.